So I am not the world's best tech savvy person, and I decided to use Restream, which is really good for connecting multiple channels. So that way I don't have to have multiple cameras up and things like that. And so they just allowed Instagram to be used on Restream, which I couldn't do it before. So, I had my phone and I had, my laptop, to do YouTube and Facebook. So I had two different cameras going on. And so I'm like, oh, this is great. So I'm going to try this. And apparently you have to have it running live on Facebook at the same or on Instagram at the same time. So like I was hearing myself echo and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work. And it was like a lag. So every time I would talk, it would show up on the Instagram feed. And so I was hearing myself echoing and I'm like, oh, that's not going to be good. And I'm sure you guys could probably hear it too. So I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea to do that. So we're going to go back to the old way until I figure that out and kind of play around with it. So, and if anybody, is familiar with live streaming and using, like a platform like Restream or anything else that you can do multiple places like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, things like that. If you guys are familiar with that, any tips would be great because not so tech savvy on this end. Anyway, so enough of that, and thanks for your patience as always. So we are going to be talking about sore throats, sore muscles, and sore joints tonight because it's flu season, right? Or sugar season, as I like to say. But people are coming down getting sick. Sore throats are very common. My younger niece just poor baby. She had a really bad sore throat and uh, lots of postnasal drip, and she got an upset belly, and she wound up throwing up. So felt really bad for her. She's 5. She had a little bit of a fever. So, and absolutely adorable. She, Auntie PC. So that's what I'm named. So that's what she calls me, Auntie PC, because she can't say the Tracy. She, she goes, "Can you test me?" So of course she was over and I muscle tested her. And it's so nice to know that, learning muscle testing, we can help these young kiddos, get over things pretty quickly. So, she muscle tested for coming up for viruses and started her on something from Cellcore called Is Boost. And she's coming up for something called Viracord, which is homeopathic from Energetics. And she's also testing for homeopathic for Sinus Tone from Energetics as well. And the Sinus Tone helps to kind of drain out all that sinuses so you don't get congestion and things like that. And then Viracord is homeopathic, which, helps the body's immune system. And then Is Boost is a liquid supplement, and it has a lot of different herbs in there to help the immune system as well. And a lot of these, technically, we can't say that we're treating anything, but we're just supporting the immune system, for fighting off infection. So it's not treating anything, but it is helping the immune system do its job a little bit better. And love Cellcore products. Sometimes they're not so tasty. So for the small kiddos, this is the one time I would recommend putting it in like a little bit of juice or watered down juice, just to get it in them, because when you're sick, you want to reduce the amount of sugar that you're actually intaking, because sugar can actually suppress, especially too much sugar can actually suppress your lymphocytes, which is the type of white blood cell that is used to fight infection, used to go after cancer cells and things like that. So anything that, if the white blood cells are in like any sugary substance of 75 grams or more, they actually become somewhat suppressed. They can become almost immobilized for several hours. So when you're sick, you really want to reduce that. So when you have sore throats, what can you do and what can you take? So licorice root can actually be really beneficial. You can take it as a tea. You can get loose licorice root, and you can steep it in boiling water. Now, I would really recommend not using tap water. I would really not recommend using even filtered water from the fridge. Some of the best water that you can do is either reverse osmosis. Taking it a step further, you can do distilled water. Okay. Distillation, using distilled water removes all of the radioactive elements, a lot of the toxins. It's pretty clean water at that point. You can, if you're worried about mineralization, so if you're a quantum nutrition testing patient or a muscle testing patient, we're already remineralizing your body and giving your body nutrients. So a lot of times you don't have to replace the minerals in distilled water. But if you're worried about it and you're not a muscle testing patient or a quantum nutrition testing patient, then using high quality minerals, something from Cellcore, would be really good to add to that distilled water. And I believe it's 1 capsule for every gallon of water. And then you can just open it and you're not going to taste it. So you can remineralize the water that way. But I would really use distilled water for drinking, because we just have so many toxins in our water. And you don't want to be, you're already sick. You don't want to be adding anything extra into your system than what's already going on. So licorice root is really good. It's got anti-inflammatory properties, so it helps to reduce the inflammation within the throat. It's actually really good for soothing. Licorice root is really good for soothing the mucosal lining, so in the gut as well as the lungs too. So if you feel like you're very, very congested, or you feel like you just have like a lot of phlegm, licorice root can actually be really, really good for that. So Manuka honey for sore throats is actually really, really good to, there's some medicinal purposes for Manuka honey as well. And the higher the number, the better quality of the Manuka honey that it is. Manuka honey is from New Zealand. And you can usually get this at like a health food store. Whole Foods should have it. I don't know what you guys have around you. We have something like Trader Joe's. We have some small, mom and pop stores that are more holistic. So if you're in Oak Lawn, no, not, I'm sorry, not Oak Lawn. It is Country Club Hills, Heritage Food, Health Food. They have like it's a family owned store, very, very more holistic based, lots of good stuff to help support the immune system. They should have something like that, but I don't even know if some of the so we have Jewel here. Publix is more south. They might have it. I'm not really sure though. But otherwise, you can find also Manuka honey on Amazon and things like that. So some other really good remedies for your sore throat. So you can turn around and also use ginger. Ginger is really good for the immune system. That helps to reduce inflammation, and it's really good to soothe coughs as well. So sometimes you can use salt water. I would not use like over the counter table salt. I wouldn't use any table salt. That actually does not have any benefit for you. They strip a lot of the minerals out and then they replace it with synthetic iodine. So don't use any table salt. If you're going to do something like Himalayan pink salt, Celtic sea salt, you can use that. You can make your own sage and echinacea throat spray. So echinacea is really good. It has some antimicrobial properties. So if you think you have a throat infection, like a bacterial throat infection, echinacea supports the immune system. So does sage. So you can use about a teaspoon of ground sage. Same thing with echinacea. And you would use a half a cup of water. You boil the water, but you don't really necessarily have to if you're not using tap water. If you're using, like I said, I wouldn't use tap water. I'd use distilled water. And you're gonna actually, you do want to boil it because I think you want to steep the sage and the echinacea. You're going to mix that with the water, and you're going to steep it for about 30 minutes. And then you're going to pour the mixture through a strainer. Um, and then you're going to put it in like a small spray bottle, and then you can spray your throat as needed. So the sage and the echinacea will help support your immune system, has anti-inflammatory properties to it as well. So one of the other things that we use is throat tone spray from Energetics. It is a really, really good spray that helps with the immune system. Again, will help to soothe any inflammation within the throat, kind of give like almost like a numbing, tingling sensation. So you usually get a good couple of hours of relief from that, and it's safe for the kids. It's natural. It's 100% natural and safe for kiddos as well. I wouldn't necessarily use it on infants, but like little toddlers and a little bit older, which should be okay for that. If you want to use any throat lozengers, I would stay away from Halls. Definitely stay away from Halls. They have like a lot of red dyes. They have a lot of like corn syrup and things like that to make it sweet or taste good. They have a lot of harsh chemicals in there. It's not so good stuff. I would turn around and use Ricola. Has some really good. I've read the ingredients on Ricola. It's a lot cleaner than using Halls. Boreon has a good throat lozenger too. This one you can find usually over at Whole Foods. Again, you can find it online, like on Amazon, and the company is Borion, and they have a natural throat lozenger for kids and adults, and that will help sore throats and the immune system as well. So you can do that. So those are some quick couple things that you can do to kind of help support your immune system, to kind of help, until you get better. So that way you don't have such a sore throat, and you can use that for your kids. And these are safe products rather than using something like Halls or Mucinex or any of those other things, because they have a lot of garbage in there, and I wouldn't use those. So, and then a lot of times when you are sick, you get muscle aches and you get joint stiffness or joint pain, right? And so what can you do for that? And what are some other reasons why you get joint pain? So have you ever just kind of felt achy all over, and maybe you've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, or maybe you think that you have arthritis, or it's you're just really sore all the time and you have no idea why. You wake up sore, you can't move, it's hard to do the daily activities that you need to because you're in so much pain. And what are the options? You might try physical therapy for a little bit, and sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. Chiropractors are great. I love chiropractors. Sometimes though, if there's other things causing the pain, the chiropractors are going to keep you aligned. And especially if you have any subluxations or you're misaligned along your spine and stuff like that, they're going to help with that. But there could be other reasons why you have joint pain, or why your back hurts, or why your feet hurt, or it's not always just plantar fasciitis if your feet are sore. Yes, you could have flat feet, and that might be the case, but there's other reasons that actually cause plantar fasciitis and joint pain. And in a lot of cases, I either see it Lyme or co-infection of Lyme, or heavy metals and heavy chemicals. So a lot of heavy metals actually have an affinity to soft tissue and joints, causing inflammation in the muscles, causing inflammation in the ligaments and tendons, which it might not even be the joint. It could be the surrounding tissue that's holding the joint in place and attaching the joint to muscles or whatever. So it could be heavy metals and toxins. Or like I said, Lyme. You don't have to turn around and get bit by a tick in order to get Lyme disease or co-infections. So co-infections are oftentimes other types of bugs like bacterium, or other types of like parasites. So Babesia is a microscopic parasite. It is a single-celled parasite that is often seen in the same type of bugs like mosquitoes and ticks and spiders and things like that. So when these insects bite you, they not only give you Lyme disease, but they give you other critters as well. So, and that's what we call co-infections because it's often seen hand in hand with Lyme disease. So these other infections can sometimes you can get multiple infections from one bug bite. Fun times, right? And so Babesia is one of them. It is an actual small parasite, which is considered a co-infection of Lyme. Borrelia is the bacterium that actually does cause Lyme disease. And then you have Bartonella and Ehrlichia. So Ehrlichia is a type of bacterium. Bartonella is a bacteria that acts like a parasite. So it is a bacteria that actually has to live inside other cells in order to survive. So it has parasitic-like activity. And these can cause plantar fasciitis, back pain, unexplained joint pain. It can cause, these guys can cause hormonal disruption. I've seen a lot of gut issues. One of my patients actually had very, very heavy bleeding, fibroids, and endometriosis type symptoms. And the underlying cause was Bartonella and Borrelia. So Lyme and Lyme co-infection in her uterus. And we started treating her for that. And within a couple days, the severe cramping went away and the severe bleeding went away. And she started feeling better because she was actually getting kind of worried. And I hadn't seen her for, God, for like a month or 2 months. I hadn't seen her for a couple months. And then she called me up and I'm like, where did you get all this stuff from? And she's like, oh, I went on vacation. I got bit by a whole bunch of mosquitoes. And she never once had the bullseye rash or anything like that. She got bit by a whole bunch of mosquitoes and had started having hormone like problems with her cycle where she was just bleeding really, really significant. And I can't remember, did she also have some achiness? She might have had, I know she was really moody before her cycle. Yeah, I think it was just moodiness and her cycle. I don't think she had any achiness. It was just like a really, really heavy cycle with extreme cramping to the point where she was actually getting worried about how much she was actually bleeding. And we were able to finally get it to kind of slow down. And it took like a couple days for it to slow down. And then we finally got, because she had been bleeding for like a couple weeks already. And it took us a couple days to get it to slow down and then a couple more days for it to completely stop. And which is pretty amazing because the doctors didn't even know what to do because they couldn't get her under control. I think they tried her on some birth control pills and that didn't even work either. So, but yeah, these suckers can cause like a lot of problems. So they can mimic, fibromyalgia, because if you think you're really sore and they do tests and they can't find anything, well, then what do? You get just diagnosed with fibromyalgia and then you get sent to a pain clinic and you get stuck on a whole bunch of pain medicine. Well, what's the fun of that? And then there's so many side effects, including risk of becoming addicted. And then that presents a whole new set of problems. So it's better to find out the underlying cause. Some other things, like I said, was heavy metals that I've seen that can actually be in joint tissue. That's actually what happened to me. So I was in a major horseback riding accident when I was in like 2008. So yeah, we're talking like 15 years ago. And yeah, 15 years ago. I had to think about that for a moment. So, and I shattered I broke my ankle. I broke the tibia portion of my ankle and I shattered the tibia portion of my knee. And I went foot first into the scoop of a backhoe. That was fun. And I had to have 2 pins in my ankle, and 3 pins in my knee, a bone plate and a bone graft put in my knee. And I was in my late 20s. I think I was 28 at the time. When I hit 30, I already had enough arthritis where I needed a knee replacement. And I was getting joint injections, which now I know, at the time I didn't. I know on how bad those joint injections are actually for you. Yeah, it gives you like temporary pain relief, but if you keep using, the knee injections, the steroids can actually break down your joints, even more, especially if you use it on a regular basis. So, and to keep my pain under control, I had to get joint injections in my right knee every 3, 4 months, more like every 4 months. And they didn't want to do a knee replacement on me because I was so young. So they wanted to wait until I was 40. Now I'm 44 and I have not had a knee replacement yet. Now I'm bone on bone. I have no more cartilage. I saw an x-ray of my knee a couple years ago, and it looks like I have the Rocky Mountains because I have in my knee because I have so many bone spurs, but I don't have any pain in my knee. And that was partly from doing muscle testing and detoxing, changing diet. Now, am I 100% perfect on my diet? No, but I'm a lot better than what I used to be. And that's what I tell my patients all the time is a little bit of change can lead to big results. So, and doing the heavy metal detox and getting rid of parasites made a huge world of difference for my joints even. And I didn't even realize it was going to do that when I started doing a nutrition response testing program for myself way back when. This was before I even got certified in it. And I didn't realize I went in to have it help my skin because I had really bad psoriasis and really bad eczema. And I was not expecting it to help with my joints. Because how the heck, you think about it, if you're bone on bone, how is this going to help with your joints? You're already bone on bone. There's no more cartilage left. How is this going to help with the inflammation in your joints? I didn't realize that it actually could. About 6 months into the program, all of a sudden it was like, oh, I haven't had to have a joint injection in like almost like 5 months. And now like I said, I was getting one every 4 months. So by doing a heavy metal detox and doing a parasitic cleanse and getting rid of a lot of eating grains and refined sugars actually caused my body to be less inflamed. So I didn't have that inflammatory response and my joints started feeling better. So that can also be a factor too is, like I said, the heavy metals. I've seen actually parasites inside of joint capsules, and a lot of cysts can actually be parasites as well. And you look at Baker cysts, which are behind the knee, and they can cause a lot of pressure behind the knee as well, and sometimes fluid buildup. And so that can lead to joint pain and inflammation as well. And a lot of times these cysts are actually parasites that have encapsulated themselves. So parasites can be inside the joints. Bartonella, like I said, Borrelia can cause a lot of joint pain and inflammation. We get rid of that and the pain and inflammation go away. And then you don't have to take as much pain medicine. A lot of people can actually wean off the pain medicine because there's some other great things that will also help with inflammation too, such as turmeric, curcumin, devil's claw. I have a product called IFC, which is called Inflam Control, and that is actually from Cellcore. And it has pomegranate seed, olive leaf extract, artichoke leaf extract, SIA, fruit extract, bromelain, L-sertraline, white mulberry fruit extract, broccoli sprout extract, wheatgrass extract, blueberry fruit extract, and I can't pronounce that. I'm not even going to attempt to. So it's got some really good things in there. And starting up with Cellcore, I didn't even know that some of this stuff could be so anti-inflammatory. And I found that, in the right combination of things, yes, and it works really good. I actually have my dog on this as well, and he is what I consider my orthopedic nightmare. He was not put together so well. Mother Nature did not put him together so well. He was born with hip dysplasia when he was 6 months old. When I adopted him, he had two avulsion fractures, which is by the growth plates in both of his knees. He needed two ACL surgeries, and he's got some back issues as well. So he wasn't put together so well. So he's got some inflammation, and he's on IFC, and I have him on turmeric from MediHerb. And then I actually have him on a little bit of Copaiba, which is an essential oil. And I use Young Living. So you can use Young Living. And again, I'm not a vet, so I would recommend you talking to your vet or finding a holistic vet that will help support you in using natural ways to help reduce inflammation. But frankincense essential oil is also great for reducing inflammation. You can put it on topically, or you can internally take it. And same thing with dogs. So dogs can internally take, you have to be careful on the amount, but they can take, well, or at least let's say I've given my dogs frankincense and Copaiba before. They muscle test better for Copaiba than they do for frankincense. And that's just my dogs. And so each dog might be a little bit different, but muscle testing, my dogs do better with Copaiba. But I know some holistic vets have recommended frankincense. I actually have a horse, and he actually tests really well for Copaiba as well. He's got a little bit of arthritis in his knee, and I am trying a new thing too to help with inflammation. So you can do castor oil packs. That might also help. That is safe for both animals and people. And castor oil packs can be used directly on your joints for inflammation. And from what I hear, I haven't looked at if there's any research, but from what I hear is actually doing castor oil packs can actually help to break up bone spurs. So, and I'm actually going to be trying that with my horse and seeing if this actually works. So, and it could take several months of daily use in order to do that. And it might even take even longer, depending on how long you've had your arthritis and whatnot. But supposedly getting organic castor oil and doing castor oil packs, for at least anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, does, or at least people have claimed that it helps with getting rid of bone spurs. Now, I know that it does help with a lot of other things. Like you can use castor oil packs, for gut issues. It has been known to get rid of tumors, fatty lipomas on your pets, or even like actual tumors. Now, again, this can take quite a bit of time, of consistent use, like up to a year. So it's not something that, you might see over, like an overnight fix, getting rid of tumors. But with consistent use and with persistence, yes, it can. And I've heard, so many other people using it for their guts, for gut health, doing a liver detox and liver cleanse by putting it right over their liver. So what you do is you don't need a lot of castor oil. You would take either a cheesecloth. Oh, I've even seen people using things like puppy pads or like those incontinence pads. You don't need a huge amount. You can cut the incontinence pad or the puppy pad into small squares or small areas. And then you let the castor oil soak in, because it's very, very thick, and it takes a few minutes for it to really soak into that pad. And you can use the pad over and over again until it dries out. So keep it in a airtight container or something, so that way the castor oil doesn't dry out. and then you place it over your liver or your abdomen or your uterus, wherever you need, or your knee if you have knee pain or your joint. And then you can use like saran wrap, or you can put like a heated pad over it, like a heating pad, because you want the heat to help to draw it into the, into the body. So castor oil packs will help with that as well. And then depending on how often you want to do it, you could do it daily or at least like 4 times a week. I would recommend, I would think would be pretty good for that. Maybe about an hour, a minimum of 4 times a week. You could do it daily if you wanted to. And that can help out with a lot of gut issues as well and inflammation. So I hope those kind of gave you some really good ideas on how to help with sore throats, sore joints, sore muscles, and we will talk with you later. All right. Have any questions or want any help figuring out the underlying cause of why you have some sore joints, some stiffness, maybe fibromyalgia, maybe arthritis? It might not really be arthritis. If you want any more information of just helping getting rid of pain or to support your immune system, give us a call, 708-554-6730. Have a good night.